Our hopes of finding more survivors in Turkey and Syria are fading. It's now past the 72-hour mark, considered the most likely period in which lives can be saved. And the death toll from the powerful earthquakes that hit on Monday is now more than 17,000. Millions of people are homeless and desperate. Rescuers pulled out an ash-covered baby alive from the rubble in Turkey earlier today, but they're mostly finding bodies under the devastating destruction. Frustrations are mounting over the government's slow response in both Turkey and Syria. Some workers still lack heavy machinery to chip away at concrete slabs. Many do not think they will ever see their relatives again.
4. gününe girdik. 72 saat bitti. 4. güne girdik. Doğru düzgün bir dün çalışma oldu. İlk gün olsaydı belki de canlı kurtarma ihtimali daha yüksekti. İkinci gün olsaydı gene canlı çıkma ihtimali yüksekti. Gittikçe umutlarımız tükendi. Evet, bugün 4. gününe girdik. 4 çanta giriş katında bekliyorlar.
Aid has arrived in Kahramanmaraş, the epicenter of the first 7.8 magnitude tremor. Officials have set up tents and they have been handing out food to survivors. Meanwhile, in Syria, the first UN convoy carrying aid has arrived. Turkish authorities say they will open other crossing points if they are secure. Survivors have been sleeping out in the cold.
نحن بسبب الزلزال ساكنين بعفرين الهزة الأرضية، البناء كله تعضد، كله يعني تدمر، كله بناء، ونازحين والله باكين هون، يعني جينا نحن نازحين من حلب نزحنا لهون، صار الحمد لله رب العالمين، هذا من رب العالمين يعني، وبرقين بالخيام وبالسيارات، ما ضل عنا ماكل إيواء أبدا، كله تعضد، البناء كله طب، الحجر الشجر كلها تكسرت، والحمد لله رب العالمين على كل حال.
And Trent Murray joins us live from Malatya in Turkey. Trent, frustration over slow rescue efforts in Turkey and Syria. The first aid convoy only just arriving in Syria. Why such slow progress?
Well, look, in many ways it depends which particular region we're talking about. This is just such a large stretch of area that has been affected, but there is no escaping the fact, as you say, that on the Syrian side of the border, the rescue efforts have been very, very slow, and that is because there really is no central disaster response agency in Syria. Syria, of course, is a very complex picture of competing factions and groups trying to manage different areas following that civil war, and I think in many ways that complexity has meant many international partners have been a bit hesitant or concerned about trying to go in there. But frankly speaking, none of that helps the potentially millions of people which are caught up in this in Syria. Many of them are trapped under the rubble and are relying on smaller NGOs like the White Helmets, for example, to carry out rescue efforts. Now, here in Turkey, of course, they are more fortunate in the sense that the state has got a lot more infrastructure in place. There is a big military here with many young soldiers who are doing national service chipping in to assist. But in some areas like Hatay, the rescue efforts have still been a bit slow. A lot of that has to do with the fact that major motorways and airports were damaged in the earthquake. Some of it has to do with that very difficult weather that the country was facing on the first day. President Erdogan himself has acknowledged he hasn't been pleased with the way things went in that first 24 hours. But slowly but surely, the aid is making its way through. Certainly where I am, more heavy machinery continues to arrive, and they do continue to dig. Despite those hours continuing to pass, they are just not giving up hope.
Trent, of course, all the efforts you mentioned, these are on primary immediate concerns. But there are also concerns of a secondary disaster with millions out in the open with no shelter, no water, no power. What's being done to help these people?
That's right, and that's really what we're seeing here. Certainly where I'm in Malatya now, it's just so many people that are homeless. We were just up at one of the petrol stations, for example, and there were hundreds of cars trying to leave with families inside. But the petrol station was saying that they didn't have any petrol left. They only had diesel, which was making it difficult. Where they go still really is an open question. Many universities, sporting stadiums have opened their doors for sort of emergency accommodation, but in the longer term, they are going to need homes for what President Erdogan has described as a transitional phase. Container housing and similar types of accommodation are going to have to be built. He has said that for those who have lost homes, he will ensure that they are rebuilt within 1 year. That is a lot of pressure on the Turkish state and building companies to fulfil that promise, but he maintains it is doable. But right now, I think what you are just seeing, again, is just a desire to give people the basic necessities of life to get them through this phase, somewhere to sleep, some warm blankets and heaters, some food, and then we'll sort of work out the next steps next. That's sort of very much the sense I'm getting here. Many community groups, mosques opening their doors, all just really trying hard to solve this immediate crisis as it still stands and worry a little bit about the longer term when we cross that bridge later.
All right, thanks for that. Trent Murray reporting live from Malatya in Turkey.